The documents contain facts or statements that might threaten or endanger the life or safety of individuals. Those were the words Ann Taylor used in one of her recent court filings. And in response, the state replies with, "This discovery evidence could disclose the identity of a confidential source." So what on earth are they talking about? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And if an open conversation is something you prefer, then this is the place for you. Welcome to The Point, so let's talk about it.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
When you start talking about statements or evidence that could threaten somebody's life, wouldn't you traditionally think about some type of organized crime? And when we talk about the possibilities of individuals within organizations involved with this particular case, a lot of organizations have popped up. Some individuals have said that this was some type of massive cartel deal gone wrong. Other individuals have said that this was tied to the university and that the university is trying to cover something up. Other individuals have brought up that law enforcement in that area is crooked and this was some type of law enforcement operation gone wrong, and this is their way of covering their tracks. But the most famous organization surrounding this case has been Sigma Chi. And for those individuals who don't believe Bryan Kohberger committed this crime, Sigma Chi is one of the primary suspects, mainly due to that 4chan post. But what if their confidential source is that 4chan post? What if the confidential source is the individual who got online, made that post, thought it was anonymous, but now he's discovered? And Ann Taylor's saying if this discovery gets out, this individual's life is in danger. While the state is saying this individual is a confidential source. He has key information to this case. We cannot release his name whatsoever. Now, I don't personally believe that anybody is in fear of law enforcement when talking about this case. But I would wonder from y'all, is Ann Taylor referring to the university? We already know from the president's book, Scott was heavily involved with updates and briefs very early on in this case. And a lot of people question that. Why is the president of a university sitting in a police investigation? It's not as if Scott has some sort of law enforcement degree or he was some type of retired FBI agent. So what is his involvement? And to be fair, I don't think any of us have ever received an answer from him that made any of us feel good as to why he wanted to be involved. Yes, these were university students, and I understand that. And yes, this happened in a town where your university is placed. But it wasn't on school property as far as I'm aware. But certainly when it became school property, the first thing y'all wanted to do was bulldoze it down. And that didn't sit right with a whole lot of people either. Because now the entire crime scene is destroyed. Nobody knows where that stuff is buried. Or is Ann Taylor talking about some type of substance dealing organization? We know Emma Bailey's came up in terms of a possible confidential source due to her most recent charge. So are they referring to her? Did she say something or give information to the state, and Bryan Kohberger's defense team has found out additional information and neither one of them want anything to happen to her? And if you're trying to put two and two together, that is certainly doing some math if that's the route you want to go down. Now, in terms of organizations that would have people possibly capable of committing an act like this or trying to keep something secret, Sigma Chi certainly deserves to be talked about. If you're one of those people who believe they were involved in this particular crime, it is an organization that does have a lot of money, and you can't fully discredit a potential involvement of them when you look at the 4chan post, because a lot of that stuff within that post did line up to the actual events before this actual crime took place. And it could be that the state is saying we don't want this individual's name to come out because if it does, then members of that fraternity are going to come after this individual. Now, I don't know if this is common stuff to file in court documents, but when you talk about a case that's had so much secrecy surrounding it, it doesn't seem to make sense to me, and I'd be curious if it makes sense to you. What possible evidence is Ann Taylor talking about, and whose life may be in danger? That is the big question. And who is this confidential source? Are they referring to Emma or her boyfriend Demetrius? Or is this tied to the 4chan post? To say it's strange is certainly an understatement. Now, of course, we're just speculating here, but when you consider what was recently found out at that last hearing, that some of these anonymous leaks are absolutely false, I would personally say everybody has a valid reason to call everything into question. Now, if you see any of these things differently, let me know down below. Y'all be safe now.